Hi everyone, this is Balazs from RacingBrick. Today LEGO revealed their latest large-scale Batmobile, the 76355 Batman Returns Batmobile. If you have a slight feeling of déjà vu, you are definitely not alone. Something very similar has already been made in larger, smaller and even limited edition versions, but this one brings something genuinely new for several reasons. I will use the official high-resolution photos and videos from the press release to show you as many details as possible about this new set, and of course compare it to some of the previous releases as well. Let's get started. First of all, some numbers. The set has 2,279 pieces, it is rated 18+, the price is €210 or $230, and it will be available for LEGO Insiders from the 1st of September. You can find the product link in the description and in the pinned comment. At first sight, I guess most people will think this is simply a reissue of the 1989 Batmobile released in 2019. Well, not exactly. That set had 3,306 pieces and the finished Batmobile was more than 60 cm long. This one has roughly 1,000 pieces less and the length is 45 cm. So yes, it is significantly smaller, but it is definitely not small. For comparison, here is a minifigure scale Batmobile, and here is the Creator Expert Ecto 1 next to it, which is only about 2 cm longer than the new Batmobile. So this will still be a fairly substantial model. I reviewed the 1989 Batmobile back in the day, and it was huge. I don't have it anymore simply because I didn't have enough space for it, so personally, having a somewhat more compact version is actually quite welcome. Another good indicator of the size difference is the wheels. The old version used the larger tumbler tires at the back, while the smaller ones were introduced with that set and, somewhat ironically, can now be found on this year's Technic tumbler. Compared to that, the new version uses these tires at the back, familiar from sets like the Technic Bronco and the new Fast and Furious Charger, while the front tires have already appeared on a couple of different Icons cars. So you can pretty much imagine the size difference, but now let me tell you that the set doesn't actually have only 2 of these front wheels, it has 10. Yes, the main reason why this is specifically the 1992 Batman Returns Batmobile is proudly shown on the back of the box. The model can be transformed into the Batmissile. If you are not familiar with the Batmissile, you might need to rewatch the movie. Despite its cult status among Batman fans, it only has a very short appearance during a chase when Batman needs to squeeze through an extremely narrow alleyway. The exact transformation sequence from the movie would obviously have been very difficult to replicate in LEGO form, so the designers came up with a simpler but still pretty impressive solution. You press this button at the back and the 2 sides of the vehicle basically pop away from the center section, revealing 8 additional wheels hidden inside and leaving us with this sleek, bullet train-like vehicle. The exact mechanism isn't visible in the official photos yet. We can see some of the internals here, and the description mentions an innovative lift arm mechanism, which might mean there is some sort of technique linkage pushing the side sections away. If you manage to spot more details about exactly how it works in these photos, let me know in the comments. Now, taking a closer look at the images, I don't think pressing the button immediately gives us the finished display-ready Batmissile. Some additional tweaking seems to be required. As you can see here, the mechanical arms representing the wheel reconfiguration mechanism from the movie are not attached yet when the sides come away. This section is also still exposed, while another image shows it covered with tiles in the finished configuration, so I don't think this is a completely automatic transformation. Still, it is a pretty impressive party trick, but there is one thing the Batmobile definitely won't do in this configuration: turn. With 12 wheels sitting on the ground, I think its preferred direction is very firmly straight ahead. The 1989 LEGO version had steering, by the way, although realistically you could only operate it directly from the wheels, so it wasn't exactly the most practical function either. We also don't seem to get the pop-up machine guns this time, which is probably another consequence of the smaller size and all the internal space required for the Batmissile mechanism. Other than that, I think the size still allows for plenty of detail, and thanks to some newer elements introduced since the 2019 model, the shape seems to be captured pretty well even at the smaller scale. According to the press release, 3 new elements were developed for the set. One of them is presumably the windscreen, which certainly helps to recreate that very distinctive roofline. The second new element belongs to the minifigure, which we will take a closer look at in a minute. As for the third one, my guess would be some curved or bow-shaped element used somewhere in the bodywork, but honestly, I can't really keep up with all the new pieces being introduced these days. If you spot it, let me know in the comments. One feature kept from the bigger version is the cockpit that slides forward, revealing some nice interior details. Unfortunately, at least some of those details seem to be stickers, but we will need to see the actual set to judge that properly. What is definitely printed is the information plaque on the fairly simple minifigure stand, and here is our Batman with a newly developed cowlpiece. We only really see him from the front in the official images, and the animation doesn't reveal much more either. Most of the print details are hidden, so we will have to wait for the first proper hands-on reviews to see exactly what the full minifigure looks like. Will I review the set? Probably. I'm definitely interested in the transformation mechanism, but I didn't get this one for early review, so I will have to wait until September. Based purely on the official photos though, I quite like what I see so far. The transformation is a cool and very attractive feature. Some might call it a one-trick pony, but at least it is a completely new trick and not another function we've already seen several times before. There are also plenty of nice details around the car, and considering the smaller scale, I think the overall shaping has been captured pretty well. So, is it worth €210 or $230? I will definitely need to build it before I can answer that properly, and I'm sure some people will immediately point out that they bought the much bigger 2019 version for less money back then. Sure, I did as well, but we also have to remember that we are comparing prices 7 years apart. The original Batmobile had an RRP of $250 in 2019, which would be around $325 today, so we get less bricks but for less money as well. The more important question for me is whether the building experience, the transformation mechanism, and the finished model are enough to justify the price, and for that we will need the actual set. So now it's your turn, folks. Let me know what you think about the new Batman Returns Batmobile. What do you think about the look, the smaller scale, and especially the Batmissile functionality? Let's talk about it in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications, as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.